Welcome to the darkness.
Hey everybody, it's Wednesday and we are back for our live psychic show and super excited. Girls, it's nice to see you again. It's like our weekly check-in.
It is. It's wonderful.
Check-in. Oh, yep. There's pulse.
Yeah, there's a pulse. Yeah, it's crazy. So, you're the horse that's supposed to be here. Like hurry up. I keep waiting for him to thunder in. Yeah. 2025's energy is still lingering, and I'm really getting tired of it. The crap needs to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and everybody's saying it. They're like, what happened? I thought you're the horse that's supposed to be. And I'm like, well, hopefully soon.
It starts the 21st or 22nd of March. It goes with our zodiac calendar is the Chinese calendar.
Oh, hey, my lover. So we still have the snake hanging on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can feel it every moment of it. So it needs to go away.
That tracks, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we, McKenna, you have kind of a physics talk tonight. And
yes.
Cool.
It does tie in a little bit to like what we had been talking about before. We only like covered like just a tiny little mention of it when we discussed like the telepathy tapes. We talked about there was a kid and his mom got like super involved with like advocating for like these nonverbal autistic individuals. Hello. And she's like been an advocate, and she's also done so much research and kind of realized that her child is kind of communicating on a different plane of like existence, or like another frequency essentially that doesn't quite align with us, with our we're the third dimension, like, and so he's kind of communicating on a higher dimension. So I was like, that is interesting, because there are all kinds of phenomena that happen, and like experiences people have that can be, they're unexplained, or so much of it can be explained if you kind of go into physics, quantum physics, and the multidimensional theory or interdimensional beings. And so I kind of did a deep dive, never a deep enough dive, but as much as I can get through like within a few days. And like I have taken in so much information. I'm hoping I can get through it without like having to go, kind of like here's the center of the topic and then I'm branching off like a So we're gonna try.
All right.
So the basis of it that I kind of like started my research at was like I was thinking of, because you see, like, people see spirits and they talk to spirits or they communicate in some way. And so I was doing research on the theory that the spirits, the recently deceased, or other beings that, mediums communicate to or loved ones see, are on another plane of reality or within another dimension or in between two dimensions. And there is like some theorizing, there's some evidence, but I think we kind of have to get into the dimensions themselves. And I have I went back to like my old school. When I first started, I would like print off my one sheet, my one chart, and like I'd write, and then I'd keep writing until I didn't have any sort of linear A through Z of like what we're going through. But also that kind of goes on to our discussion about the fourth dimension upwards. So it's a little ironic. So we live in the third dimension. Like that is our plane of existence. There are at minimum 11 dimensions plus 0 if you consider, 0 being like the single point dimension, which is just a dot. But there has to be a minimum of 11 dimensions. Otherwise, essentially, our universe would collapse. So the first dimension is, length. It's just a line.
Linear.
It's linear, exactly. And the second is like 2D. So anything like you see a drawing on a piece of paper, poster, any sort of flat image, that's 2D. You can't touch it. You can't turn it. But our dimension, the 3D dimension, is, I can touch my couch, my pillows. I'm a 3D being. I can turn, you can see every angle of like my personage. And the theory, and it's been theorized and considered proven like over and over again, that these dimensions are stacked on top of each other. And whatever dimension you are in, you have the ability to manipulate the dimensions that are below you. So we can, manipulate a line. We can manipulate 2D objects as three-dimensional beings. And we can also manipulate three-dimensional objects. There's carpentry, there's all kinds of crafting, building, medicine, there's doctors manipulating other humans. So we have like that ability to physically interact with those things, and we can perceive those things. But once you kind of get on into the fourth dimension and higher, we can't manipulate that. We can only perceive it in a way that like within a three-dimensional way, essentially. So the fourth dimension is time. Like that's what it was like. It's originally Einstein, and we imagine time being linear. So we imagine it past, present, future. But physicists have discovered that time is not linear. It is all happening all at once on this dimension, on this fourth plane. But we can't perceive that because we're on the third plane. We can't manipulate it because we're on the third plane. But beings that are on the fourth plane or higher can manipulate time, or they can bring up specific points in time, presences in time. And there's a theory that once your physical body dies in the third dimension, your consciousness has the opportunity to either travel between the dimensions or travel to another dimension. So assuming a loved one passes away, their physical presence passes away, their consciousness goes to the fourth dimension, they can essentially visit any, if they have enough frequency to visit the third dimension again, they can do it at any point in time. They can visit you at any point of like wellness. Say your 90-year-old grandfather passed away. They can come back to you as a 25-year-old young man. And they can't communicate in the way that we would communicate because they're on a different frequency. We're on the third and they're on the fourth. And so a lot of times we get these sensations when they're trying to communicate with someone, and they have to try and communicate with someone that is more sensitive to those frequencies. Ergo, all of you lovely ladies. So they'll get dreams. You may see something, but it's unable to speak. You can get smells. You can get feelings. Like they're trying to communicate in whichever way. And I'm not sure like how often like you hear physical words, Celeste, Susie, Colleen, you've had experiences as well. As much as it's more feelings of them trying to communicate in the energies and like the frequencies that they're able to.
Yeah, I definitely get both disembodied voices and them in my head talking to me, definitely. What do you guys hear the most?
Both.
Both.
I would say most is internal, but I definitely can audibly hear things at times. And like, it isn't even the hearing, but it's feeling it, but it's not like I feel you touching my hand. It's
Mhm.
an internal feeling about it.
Yeah.
But every person that I communicates a little different. The ones who can actually use some type of word, whether it's audible or internal, are much easier to read than those that just show images or feelings or smells. It's a little harder to pinpoint down what they're trying to say or show you specifically.
Hi, Star. I'm glad you're on
Star.
too.
Yeah.
And you know what? That does make sense because, like, okay, this is like many, many episodes ago, but we talked about past lives. And one of like the books that I read, it's this psychologist, and he had this one specific patient who had horrible night terrors, couldn't sleep, was constantly paranoid, had so much anxiety until they started doing her past life regression therapy. And there were lessons she had to learn in this current life, and trauma she had to get over from her previous lives before she could move on to the next plane of existence. There were beings that were, thank you, midnight. Lycanthropy. It's a great word. I love that word. Squirrel moment all the time. But
No.
I don't know. So in between airplanes. So essentially, like in this book, and this psychologist, he discovered that between these past lives, this woman would go into this middle plane of reality, this middle plane of existence, and there were ethereal type beings, which in this kind of theory that we're going off of today would have been the fourth dimension or higher. I did hear in one of my kind of like scroll throughs trying to find like the information that I really wanted, someone said that God was in the eighth dimension, which I needed to look more into that. I couldn't find that video again, so we'll come back to that one at another point. But there are certain things that a consciousness, a slash soul, has to learn before you are able to progress into the next plane of existence or the next dimension, which is why they tend to have multiple lives.
See, you guys are messing with my electronics already because my computer monitor just turned off. And it only did this. I did this last week during the middle of the show too, and it didn't do it. I just recorded a show with Trista, so y'all knocked it off. Just saying.
You get out of our head.
Yeah.
It's because we're getting too close to the truth. Someone's like,
That's it.
you know what? This was all on you, I'm sure. So
What happened? So strange. Okay.
it's great. Okay, now this is the point where I have to look at my notes because they're everywhere. Okay, so this guy, I watched a few of his videos. His name's Stephen Greer. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this individual.
Yes.
He's a very interesting guy. Originally, he wasn't a doctor originally. He is now. He was like I can't remember how he phrased it, but it was like essentially he like meditated. He was like a meditative coach of some sort. But he had a near-death experience at the age of 17. He actually died, and he said the experience absolutely made him believe in a higher power, not like specifically God. He said God, but then he went on to clarify that it was an all-powerful being, or in general a powerful being. Not anything specifically from a traditional text, but there are things on that next plane of existence that have unfathomable powers. And he saw this thing, he communicated with it before he was brought back to our plane of reality. But he does theorize that we will at some point, our consciousness, hi Trista, our consciousness will have an opportunity to travel into these higher planes of existence. So also kind of going off of Dr. Stephen Greer. I mean, this is his life's work, essentially, is this interdimensional travel, interdimensional beings. He has these theories that kind of explain apparitions, paranormal, like cryptid phenomena, in a way that these other dimensional beings can, manipulate everything below them, just like us as three-dimensional can manipulate the second and the first dimensions. And so these other beings have the opportunity, if they change their frequencies or their energies, they can come into our plane of existence, or they can view it from the outside. So cryptids, I mean, for a specific reference, he's like Bigfoot, Chupacabra, are things that, like, if you can just see it and you can't touch it, they're just viewing us. They're on enough of a frequency where they can view us. But if they are at a high enough frequency to come into our physical presence is when things actually start to physically happen. I use this as a reference or as an example a lot. Skinwalker Ranch is like 30 minutes away from me. There was a portal essentially seen where someone saw a completely different sky on the other side of the portal. But the creature that was coming through this portal was mutilating this family's cattle. So there was a physical consequence, essentially, from this being coming into our realm of reality and doing these horrifying, terrible things. Or, horrifying to us. We don't know what the reasoning was. They may have had a reasoning, but it had a physical consequence. And it doesn't seem like every single being has that ability, which is probably good. But there are...
Hey, McKenna, there's a lot of talk, and why am I getting such feedback? There's a lot of talk in different cryptid circles. Like half of the people believe that Bigfoot is using portals to jump through these dimensions, right? And the other half of the community think that's completely bogus. They don't know what they're talking about. And it's like, well, unless we actually get a Bigfoot and can examine it and figure out what's happening, we don't know.
Right.
How can we be so elusive otherwise?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we did like the series, the Swipe Right if like 9 feet or taller. Yeah. And that covered, a bunch of like larger cryptids, paranormal phenomena, but a lot of like different Bigfoot, big feet. And they were all, I know, and like they were all similar, but in essence, there were physical differences or differences in mannerisms. There were some, I believe it was like in Oregon. It was either Oregon or Washington. It was like the family of 4 big feet that like terrorized the family, and then others are, even bigger groups or smaller groups or singular hominids. And I mean, if it's just one, like I'm sure that there is like some sort of ability where, these creatures can travel because there's counts of them all over the world. It's everywhere. I mean, Nepal, you have the Yeti. Like there's something everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I mean, this also kind of goes into like the hollow earth theory a little bit. So we'll get into that one like a whole other episode. I have a plan for that one at some point. But it is possible that quite a few, I mean, because you think about how many people are on Earth, right now. That doesn't include everyone that's ever been, that's like passed on from this realm into the next realm. But those consciousness there's billions of us, and there's billions of consciousness. And so you have to imagine that on these other planes of existence, 4, 5, 6, up to 11, that there's an abundance of these consciousness, and whatever percentage of them are able to come into our realm can and do, with whether that's, as some sort of cryptid creature like Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, or Flessie. It's a possibility, if you really consider this.
Mm-hmm. The stuff is wild. So are we losing Susie? You meditating? Okay.
I'm listening.
I know it's so much good stuff.
And don't be afraid to ask for a reading at any time. Even though we have these discussions, we will stop and provide you a reading at any time.
Yeah, I have lots of squirrel moments. There's lots of little pauses that happen. So please jump in, interrupt me. So I found this creator. She does TikTok videos, but she's also a medium. Take a little pause here.
What? Like Susie? Like this one's Susie, the creator, the TikTok creator?
Ooh. Oh no. Trista said, I would love to hear anything either of you ladies have for me. And Star, you can get a reading. Just ask, and it's free. It's here on the show. So, but you're also able to give these ladies a call or a text. Their phone numbers at the bottom, and get a full reading.
There you go. Yeah, the comments delayed on my end. I couldn't see them for a second. So yeah, Star. So you can ask a question right now, and then jot down Celeste and Susie's phone number, and you can talk to them for a full reading. And financial stuff is dealt off the show. So yeah, and ask her, like, do you want a reading for work, or do you want a reading for a relationship? Try to give us a little bit of information here, and the gals will go. So Trista's asking for the first one. Who wants to take Trista's reading? Anybody? Celeste?
I can. I did hers last week. I didn't know if Susie would want to do it this week. But
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't
see
matter.
if you get.
See what you get, Susie.
All right, I'll work on her.
All right. And Star, while Susie's working on the cards for Trista, if you want to think of a question that maybe are you looking for a reading for work or relationship or your family or travel? What are you looking for? And then it may help direct the ladies on what to tap into. Go ahead, McKenna.
All right, we'll get into this real quick. Okay, so Caroline, this creator, she's on TikTok. So she has a theory about these other like interdimensional beings, that they are forms of consciousness, just different. And I mean, it makes sense. Like 3D, a physical form. Everything else, is time, possible times, parallel universes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We are the physical forms. But she theorizes these other consciousness, and it also kind of goes along with what we discussed kind of at the beginning, but they're not bound by linear time or personal density. So we're bound by both. We can only experience A through Z. But someone, and also, we have to experience it ourselves in our physical bodies, but someone else on another plane of existence can go A to X to W, to B, whatever, back and forth. They can experience it in whatever way that they'd like, and in whatever form or lack of form that they'd like. And as you kind of like progress on into like the parallel timelines, they can be in multiple places at once, or in all of the places at once. They can't, they can go
That's
to any place.
mind-blowing. I don't know that I'd want to be in all places at one time,
Right. It says, so they can be in multiple places in our dimension specifically, but simultaneously, while they're here in our dimension, they can be simultaneously in their own reality. So it doesn't make sense to us because we can't experience it yet. We'll find out. But it'd be cool to experience one day.
Thank you. Susie, what do you have?
Okay, Krista, it's showing me right now that you're still a little bit torn about your passions, the things that you're passionate about, what you should do, what direction you should take. The universe is saying just kind of chill out. I don't know why I'm getting that old, I don't know, song, that Return to Innocence song, you know, how it's got like the native singing in it. It started to play in my head. So to me, that's saying that you need to just sit back, be calm, don't overthink things. Take this time to enjoy the things that you have accomplished, the people around you. And then as you will become more familiar with your, basically like your soul and who you are at your essence, you'll be able to find that direction that you need to travel, to further enlighten you, to further educate you, and to even eventually lead you to your soulmate. So it is time for you just to sit and enjoy those things that you have and just relax and soak it in, and it'll come to you.
Nice. Thank you, Susie.
That kind of is like an overall thing. With Star, what your question is, that perfect sense to what I was picking up. I feel like you are questioning things in your life, maybe feeling drawn to go different directions. And I think that's kind of a common thing right now. I don't know if it's just because we're transitioning from the snake to the horse, but I feel like a lot of people are saying, who am I? Is this still the right thing for me? Is this, have my tennis shoes worn out and I need to go get a new pair, kind of a thing? And I'm feeling like you are being pulled into a different direction, and that might actually affect your work and or the disability in the future. But I think Susie nailed it with, we all need to be patient, which is my strong suit. I am the most patient person on the planet. And the universe is not testing me right now by making me wait for every single thing 10 times longer than it should take. I mean, I'm very patient. So yeah, the trying to chill and the trying to be patient and wait for a few more puzzle pieces to fall into place to see what is being shown or guidance that we're being given. But I definitely think that the path will become more visible for you. And I think that the hurry up and wait, I've said that phrase 10 times today, I swear. And it's kind of like that is the overall theme for so many people, is it's like there's something different. I'm needing to do something. This just isn't feeling right, or I'm feeling to go more into what I'm doing. And but I'm thinking, yeah, February-ish, hopefully into March, we should be feeling a little more mentally in tune. But yeah, it's like I am feeling stir crazy, and yet I'm super busy and overwhelmed. And then I'm like, am I too busy? Is that why it's not all making sense? As I'm so busy that I'm passing myself in the hallway trying to get things done, and I need to like chill, as Susie so lovely put. Because I was smiling. I don't know if you noticed, I was smiling when you were doing Trista's reading, because I'm like, yeah, that's patience and chilling. Those are what Leos are best at. So I don't know. There is definitely change, but it's almost like it's swirling behind the fog. So just try to be patient and chill. And if you figure out how to do that, send me a note. But I feel like there's good things coming. I'm leaning toward it's going to be a better year, even though it might not quite feel like that yet.
Thank you.
And just step back 1 second for Trista. So we are our own soulmate. We're our own best friend. And I think in our
Mine sucks.
people. Huh?
Just saying, my best friend sucks.
Well, a lot of people forget that. Sometimes, I mean, when you were little, you were like, man, I'm so cool. I can jump this creek. You know, I can bark like a dog. I can do all these cool things. We need to get back to that and remember how cool we are and be our own best friend and take care of ourselves. And then that soulmate person is just an extension for you to learn and grow with, if that makes sense. Your original one is always going to be you. So don't forget that. And that's why I'm hearing that Return to Innocence song again. Go listen to it, that whole chanty thing. And I have Lizette, so since I think she was asking about the next few weeks, does that look like she was asking?
Yes, she did have a question.
Yeah.
Okay. So Lizette, also, you need to chill too. 2 different decks. You got the Hermit twice. So the universe is saying that you need to go internal and you need to spend that quiet time with yourself in meditation and contemplation. But your greatest joy is it within the walls of your own home. Okay, that's where I see that you pull the greatest joy from, and that's the thing that you are most likely. I mean, you just fiercely protect your home, and every decision that you make is based on what's best for my family, which is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. But don't forget, like I said, to be your own best friend as well, and do some self-care and take care of yourself too while you're spending time with the family.
That's great. Great advice. Yeah, thank you. Don't forget, you can ask for readings at any time during the show. And McKenna, go ahead.
All right. So we're going to delve right back in. We're going to start with the 4th dimension. Restart. So the 4th dimension is just above us. We cannot perceive, we cannot manipulate. Well, we can, assume about this reality, but we can't manipulate it because we're 3rd and below. Which, if there's 11 up to 26 different dimensions, it kind of sucks. We're pretty low. But, we make do. So the 4th dimension is actually like a quasi-crystal. And and physicists have actually made one. Like, there's different technologies. They created an actual quasi-crystal, what they considered a quasi-crystal in a lab. But the 4th dimension itself is in this kind of like, not a metaphor, but this lesson is a quasi-crystal. And this is also, I mean, the dimension itself is also called like the Tesseract, which, I mean, when I heard that, obviously, I thought of the Avengers. And then, or it's also called Metatron's Cube. And then I thought of Transformers. But essentially, the quasi-crystal, it casts a shadow. Yep, exactly, Jamie. So we kind of covered that a little bit. We only covered like a little bit of like the hollow earth and like the Sasquatch and stuff like that, about how like there's kind of like that travel or the possibility of like these beings being within the earth and traveling outwards, or being on another plane of existence traveling inwards. But so a quasi-crystal is essentially, it's this 4th dimension. The entire thing, we'll consider it the quasi-crystal. And it casts a shadow, and the physical quasi-crystal that they made is like this very complicated shape. And the shadow it casts is a circle. And that is basically the same thing. So it casts basically a shadow from like the dimensions 5 and up onto us. The 3rd dimension that we live in, that we reside in, is essentially the cast shadow of the higher dimensions. And so, because we are the physical realm, we can observe and experience the shadows or the 3rd dimensional frequencies of the higher dimensions, whatever beings are on those. There's, your parallel universe, which is the 6th dimension, the all universes in the laws dimension, which is the 8th dimension, It's essentially like the realm containing every possible universe and law set. And in one theory that I saw is where, you know, God resides, or what they would perceive as God, which makes sense as far as like all of the universes, all of time, and all of the universes, and all of the laws within those, you know, kind of being a governing body for all of the below dimensions. But it's interesting to think about us being just like the viewing point, the physical perception of the different planes of reality. And it makes sense because in multiple religious texts, historical texts, there are references to bipedal beings, whether they're extraterrestrial, although extraterrestrial does not equal extra dimensional, because there are both. There are extraterrestrials that can be extra dimensional. And, you know, we don't really have a ton of information on how to differentiate between the two because we see something that walks on two legs and is strange to us. And so it's fluid for us. But all of these texts reference beings that look like us. Ergo, the Bible references that we are created in God's image. Angels, you know, being essentially humanoids, but they come in the form of like flames. The Egyptians showing in their hieroglyphs, their gods that are humanoid, two legs with, you know, sometimes they look very humanoid and sometimes they have the head of a hippo, but they're all similar. They're all within the image of humanity, which would make sense if we are just seeing these as reflections or shadows from these other dimensions with infinite possibilities of reality. So that one I was like, ooh.
Yeah, it's hard to wrap your head around this stuff. It's like you have to just accept what they're saying, because if you
Right.
try to think through it, it's a little nuts.
Right.
When I've talked to spirits on our investigations, and I'll ask them, "Can you come and go wherever?" And they're like, "Yeah." It's like they can do whatever they want. It's pretty fascinating.
Right. And that I love that you brought that up because sometimes, and I've only experienced like, you know, the investigations I've been on with you because I'm a weenie. But like there's spirits that can travel, and then there's spirits that I've seen in other encounters that cannot, that are stuck. And there is kind of that, if you move on from that plane of existence, from that middle plane onto the other dimensions, it gives you that freedom to travel between time and presence and anywhere in the world essentially. And so you can come and go, but if you're in that, it's limbo, it is limbo, is between the third and the fourth dimension. When your consciousness leaves the third dimension, but, you know, for whatever reason you're here, whether that's you need to figure out a specific thing that happened in your life, or you need to learn a lesson before you can continue on to that dimension, which also tracks back to our past life regression therapy. The being saying you have to learn these lessons before you can progress onto the fourth dimension and onwards. And remote viewing, yes. So that's an excellent comment. So remote viewing, astral projection, there are some humans, and we discussed it when we discussed the telepathy tapes last weekend, that have the ability to access these higher frequencies, these higher energy forms. In the telepathy tapes, there were multiple references to the hill. It was this place they could go to in their mind where they could communicate with other individuals. The hill is, I know, it's crazy. But the hill is this place that no one else can perceive except for these people that are on this completely other frequency. And it very well could be the limbo. It very well could be the frequency between the third and the fourth dimension. And so it's people that can operate on that higher frequency. You know, say normal humans are operating at a 1, And then there's levels 2, 3, up to 4. The people that operate on those higher levels, like all of you, and then these non-verbal autistic individuals we've talked about for the past couple of weeks, they're able to access those other planes, generally perceived from our 3-dimensional view because we live in this 3-dimensional universe or plane of existence, but they're able to access them, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's I don't know.
I
It's so
know.
hard for me to wrap my head around this stuff. So who's taking Patricia's reading?
I
Do you
think
guys
that's
both want to?
Celeste.
Celeste?
Okay with it.
Star asks, what dimension are they on when they come to you in dreams?
So this was part of the research done by Stephen Greer. And that's a great question, Star. So he basically says that it can be 4th and up. So it's essentially once you leave this 3rd dimension, if you don't choose to stay in limbo, if you choose to progress, or if you don't choose to, have another life, come back to the 3rd dimension and live another physical life, you can progress to the 4th dimension onwards. And once you operate at that higher frequency, 4th and up, you can communicate essentially with people in their dreams. And people in this limbo state also can, because once they've left that 3rd dimension, which when your consciousness, when your physical body dies, you leave that. And you could be in limbo or you could be in the 4th dimension or higher. But you're no longer able to communicate as someone in the 3rd dimension would, in this 3D physical world would. So you do have
I
to.
have a question for you guys after the reading, because this is interesting.
So, it is.
Celeste, do you want to go ahead and take?
I was wondering if Patricia had something specific or just general.
Okay. So while we're waiting for Patricia to answer that, do you guys, if you're given the opportunity to move on to these other dimensions, are you going to do it? I don't know if I could leave leave animals behind.
Well, but
Why
the thing is once you can travel, you can still come back to visit. And who knows, you can't say that the animals are a lower frequency.
I'm not saying that, but I was just wondering if they're stuck in the 3-dimension.
I don't think so.
I mean, I know we've had animal spirits, but like just holding my kitten just now, if I can't do that in another dimension and snuggle with the kitten, I don't know if I can do it. You know,
no, you've got your pets. We've talked about this before. You've got your pets on the other side.
Yeah.
So ours is
But
like the right. So it's the physical dimension, like ours is. It's the first physical dimension, you know. So that's all we know, because that's our strongest point.
I just don't want to have to clean horse manure for the rest of eternity. Okay, can I make that clear?
I can't answer that one.
Poop. Okay.
I can.
Well, crap.
Well, crap.
I know. Probably you might have to. Although the physical body, so you can manipulate everything below you. So 4th, 5th, 6th. 6th can manipulate 5 and down.
Okay.
Or 6 and down, essentially, because you can manipulate your own as well. So you can have physical experiences within your own realm.
Okay. Celeste, do you want to take?
I have a quick question. If you don't have the answer when I'm done doing the reading, go with it. What is the difference between dimension and realm? Or are they 2 words that describe the same thing?
I use them synonymously. So, well, if I wanted to go a little more like with it, so specifically like thinking about the dimensions as I think about like a stack of clear glass plates, but they've got the little paper dividers in the middle that you use when you use your fine china. And then if you think of like a realm, yeah, you can use those as like a realm, but then you kind of can get into like the quantum realm, which is on a molecular level, of sub-molecular level, and it's infinite. And it's essentially saying like, the smallest thing that we can comprehend are atoms, but there are smaller particles than atoms, and there are infinite universes within those particles. So realm, I've used it synonymously in this conversation, but it can be different. And I don't know how much of a correlation there could be between like the quantum realm or the infinite universe theory that goes along with the quantum realm and the 11 plus dimensions. They could go, they could have some sort of connection somewhere. They could be coexisting, or they could be two completely different theories that have nothing to do with each other. But I've used enough. I know. That's the wonderful thing about science is you can talk out your ass and be totally right and totally wrong at the same time.
That's great. Both ends of nothing. All right, Patricia, one of the things that I'm feeling, and it's kind of been similar with what we've been talking about, is I'm feeling, I don't know that I want to use the word confusion, but feeling like you can't completely decipher or determine some things in your life. There's a bit of a haze or a fog or something. I think that's kind of in general what's happening with a lot of people. I feel like you're also being drawn possibly into a different direction. I don't know if that is in your job, in your family, in your just your own personal life. I feel like right now we're in frickin' limbo. I don't know. I don't feel like we're really going forward. I don't necessarily feel like we're going backward. I just feel like we got in the revolving door and we don't know how to get out of it or something. I don't know. But I could be. That's the thing is when you have a large group of people, sometimes that common thread comes through with all the different readings with just a little tweak here and a little tweak there that personalizes it. But I don't think it is you personally that has an issue with not being able to see things clearly or feel things clearly or make confident decisions about changes. Changes are always rough, but especially when we feel like we're kind of not able to see clearly or have a specific something pulling us. But I think that I believe it was Miss McKenna, but it could have been Susie too, just focusing on ourselves and realizing really and truly we have infinite ability to make changes and to make decisions. And we don't need to rush into things because sometimes that is our Achilles heel when we think we have to, do it right now. And sometimes right now is not the right time. So I haven't mentioned these words yet, but be patient and chill. But just trust that when the time is right, you will see better directions. You will feel more guided. But those are things you can also ask for. Like a lot of times before you go to sleep, if you want to try to direct your dreams, you can say, show me in this dream what's going on? What am I trying to process? Which way am I supposed to be changing to? And it is very frustrating. And it's super overwhelming sometimes too, to be like, something needs to change. Something needs to be, but I don't know what. I don't know where. I don't know how. And I think it's coming, but it's hard to be patient and it's hard to sometimes trust that when the time is right, things become more clear and obvious to pick from. Because it's hard picking from maybe sort of and kind of, I don't know, that makes it really complicated.
Yeah, it seems like everybody's readings are very, very similar tonight. I'll be curious to see what Susie uploads for you know what I'm saying? Because everybody's so similar. Really close tonight.
Yeah, I'll get that done. Sorry, I've been.
Oh no, you don't have to do tonight. But I'm just curious, like if it's going to change, and then by the time you do your readings, like will they be that similar? It'll be really interesting
Well, it kind of almost makes me feel better because I am usually I'm usually pretty good at reading myself and reading what I should do, and I just feel like something is off. And there is like you have the dream when you're running, but you're not going anywhere, and you're running harder and you're running faster and you're still not going anywhere. I'm so busy and I need to be busy. I have to make money, but it's like I'm running on that treadmill and I'm not going anywhere. And it's very frustrating, but it's kind of reassuring to know it isn't just me. This is kind of a
No, it's not
place
you.
where we're at.
Also, that feeling of frustration, and where it's like when we pause, even if it's for a few seconds, to go, why isn't this working? And I should be doing something different. And you feel that frustration. That always comes right before the big changes and the next level up in vibration and in lessons. That feeling of frustration, I know it's annoying, but it's also your indicator that it's coming. So
Yeah.
you can look at that and say, all right, so this is why I'm feeling this, because I've outgrown these lessons here, or I've outgrown this habit, or, this timeline, and it's beginning to be the next one. But energetically, we are still like dragging through the January drudges and mud, and like it's like we're still trying to get 2025 off from our legs, from like the knees down. You know what I mean? It's still, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Like the meme that says, "Oh my gosh, that was the longest year of my life," and they're like, "We're still in January."
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I've noticed people at work talking about how they feel lately, and it's been a struggle. And maybe it could be too we've had the inversion layer here for a couple of weeks, and it was just dull and gray and cold and awful. And
we had a ton of solar flares going off too that were making everybody wackadoodle and not sleeping and not feeling well, and electronics going crazy. I mean, because like I said, I work in the mental health field, and I had so many people having breakdowns in a week. I was just like, wow, So it's just a lot. And you, plus when we come down off that kind of stuff, it's exhausting.
mm-hmm.
So physically, emotionally, mentally exhausting. So we just need to give ourselves grace and time to heal, to reset, and just understand that everything is done for our highest good, for our greater good. And it's all going to be okay. No matter what, it's going to be okay.
Mhm.
Sorry, there's my little guru.
yeah, woo-woo stuff. Okay, McKenna.
Well, I love that. I love the woo-woo stuff.
I do
It's great.
too.
Like it's interesting because like we talk about energies, and like if nothing else, I believe in energy.
Mhm.
And whether, that's positive, negative, high frequency, low frequency, I absolutely believe in it, and it has an effect on not just me, but everything living and non-living. And you could really feel it. The retrograde in November, December last year, everyone felt it. It was heavy. It was hard. It was stressful. And it stopped. And we've hit like this plateau. And we're kind of at this space where things aren't quite relieved yet, but they're not getting worse. And so I think there's like a lot of like confusion happening where we still feel all of this tension. It's like a rubber band that's been pulled up and out really, really far, but hasn't snapped yet because we haven't had that release yet. But I do think that when there's things like solar flares or large amounts of energy within a specific person or within our space, that does open that timeline, that possibility for communication between other dimensions or other realms, Celeste. Either or. Same, but different. So it's interesting because I feel like a lot of people that have like they struggle, they're having a hard time, they are feeling overwhelmed, whether it's for many reasons, one reason or no reason. They tend to open up spiritually, whether, you know, you consider that like religiously, personal growth, emotionally, they tend to open up. And I feel like there is like some sort of energy in between like your brain operating black and white to being more open to the possibilities of the universe. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's really great stuff, McKenna. And I think well, the whole concept of like 22 dimensions, it's like what the it's craziness. I try to read some of this stuff, but it kind of freaks me out a little bit. And then I'm like, it really does.
Right.
So yeah, my uncle got really heavy into remote viewing, really heavy into it. Took the whole course, the whole 9 yards, really heavy into it. And then one day he gave the course to me and he goes, "Do you want to try it?" And he goes, "But I need to warn you, you can't unsee stuff that you will see." So I never did it.
So I'm gonna have to ask you. I'll send you a picture here in a minute. But I bought a course. It's an astral projection course, and it has a book.
Okay.
And it also has a tape, a cassette tape, and I have nothing to play it on. So if anyone out there's got like
go to Goodwill, they'll have one.
I did. I went to the DI. It's what we have here in Utah.
Yeah.
Couldn't find anything, but I found one on Amazon. So
there you go.
We'll delve into that hypnosis.
Is it? Who was the author of the course?
Hold on, I have a picture.
Was it more because Morehouse wrote the remote viewing course? I just didn't know. I think it's Morehouse. But anyway, yeah. Susie, do you have a reading?
So American Dragon. What I'm picking up here is that you're not satisfied where you're at right now. You feel like you've got people kind of talking about you, but also you have a lot of like thoughts in your head about this isn't where I should be. I need something different. And the thing is the universe is saying that there's something you've been thinking about for a very, very, very long time that you want to build on your own, that like your own business, that is something that you're very, very passionate about, that you have a lot of love for. But you kind of self-sabotage it a little bit. Like you kind of, I don't know, you don't think that you're going to be good enough at it. But my thing is when you're passionate about something, and for you, I've got the Magician twice in 2 different decks that came up. So this means that you are somebody that is very creative and that you can, you're kind of magical. I mean, I don't want to out and out call you a unicorn like other people I know, but you are magical. There's something very special and unique about you. And you know exactly what it is, but you don't want to tell a lot of people, and that's okay because you don't need to give away your secrets. That will help to manifest this and bring this to fruition to the front of it. But you've got to figure out how to stop sabotaging yourself whenever you start thinking about creating this business for yourself or going down that path, because that is your destiny. Holy cow, this is pretty deep. So it's something you've done before in another life, and you need to reconnect with it again in this one.
Yeah, really good reading.
Holy bananas.
Really good reading. Yeah. So the whole concept of all of these different realms or dimensions, I always pictured realms to be like this kingdom here and this kingdom here and this kingdom here, not like stacked, you know? But that's my interpretation of it all. And dimensions as being stacked, but the whole, we've got to get a handle on it because China is trying to study portals to weaponize them. And our astrophysicists understand it. They know that China is trying to work on it, so is Russia. And we're all trying to get a handle on it and beat everybody else because they're afraid that we can figure out how to use portals. We're going to use them to invade. Everybody's going to use them to invade everybody else. That's kind of scary stuff. So it's pretty interesting that NASA's been working on this for years.
I would just worry about opening up a portal to something that didn't have a high enough frequency or the knowledge to come to our plane of existence. You know, that shouldn't be here.
We can go deep dive on this, but McKenna, like there's so much because the word sentinels come in too, because there are things that prevent other things from wreaking havoc. But you need to look up quantum entanglement. Okay. And you also need to understand that this is me. Their theory on you can't affect any other dimensions above you. That's BS. Okay. Otherwise, we would not be able to manifest things into existence for us now. Okay. So we actually can manipulate dimensions above us. Okay. So otherwise, we wouldn't be able to talk to the dead, see them in our dreams, or request their presence, or to manifest the things that we want. But quantum entanglement is literally how one piece of material here can affect something millions of miles away because they are entangled. Okay. So there's a lot more there too. Because we could go for days on a lot. But I didn't want to, but
it's great. I'm like the stock model third dimensional being. You guys are the aftermarket with all the upgrades.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I agree with Susie, but I don't think it's in general. I don't think everybody has the abilities.
No.
Or has unlocked their abilities to do all of those different things. So.
And it's not layers of dimensions. Like we can access these through our consciousness. Scientists have proven it. The only reason we can't travel there is because we got bodies.
Physical.
Okay?
Yeah.
So
when I talk about the stacked layers, sometimes it's to visualize what.
Yeah.
But
like I was telling other people before, when you blow bubbles as a little kid and you get all of these little bubbles that are all meshed together and they're all individual bubbles, but they touch each other on different sides. That's a little more like our dimensions where they do touch, they do overlap, they do break apart. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise we can't be going in the forest and all of a sudden there's Bigfoot or Dogman or the fairies and then they disappear. Things like that. It just, I don't know. I understand that they want it like super black and white, which is cool. But there's always more to learn. So
and that might come from like a place of like comfort. I know we're like out of time, but what you mentioned absolutely goes along with like the Brain Institute and how all of these dimensions are connected by the mind.
Yes.
We will continue this discussion next week, everybody. But for now, I just want to give a shout out to the ladies. And thank you. And we will see you guys next week. Tune in tomorrow because our show is going to be on the really creepy stuff we found on Reddit.
Cool.
And I love Reddit for the creep factor. It's kind of weird. So it'll be a good show tomorrow night. Everybody, thank you for joining our show. Thank you for participating, asking for readings. That's what we're all about. McKenna, thanks always for your research that you do. Thank you. Just love it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, everybody, we're signing off. We'll see you tomorrow night, 7:00. Bye-bye.
Bye.